Hey everyone, welcome to Average Joe Preparedness. My name's Rick and I'm an Average Joe. Okay, we're going to start off today with cold weather. And I'm sure, watch this, let's see if you can see it. You guys see that? That's how cold it is here. I actually have this on. I woke up this morning and it was 10 degrees. And right now it warmed up to a balmy 12. So it's like 12 degrees. And I'm out in my garage, which is where I always shoot. And it's cold. Yes, but it's not just cold here. For the next few days, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's going to be cold across the United States, especially down in the center, and a very low. I actually saw somewhere where they said it might actually snow down in Mexico because it's arching down. So now's a good time. I was going to talk about something else, but I think we need to talk about cold weather. Yes? Yes. For the vast majority of people, cold weather's handled easy. You get in your house, you turn your heater on, and you're like, yay, I'm good. And maybe grab a blanket or something and cuddle up on the couch. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about emergency preparedness. And we start with the basics, and then we do the camping thing. You guys know how that works, and then maybe something bigger. So when something happens, you should be ready for it. I don't tell people what to do, but there's a lot of people that have been in the cold, and over the next couple of days are probably going to be in the cold, and what happened in Texas a couple of years ago. So it's something that happens, and it's something you should take maybe just a little bit of your time and be a little bit ready for. Yes, it doesn't take that much of an effort, in my opinion, to be ready for things on a certain level, on a beginning level. The basics, once again, we always talk about that, and it's like FEMA, Red Cross, what they recommend. Yes, and that's where we're going to start. So they recommend having things like blankets or emergency blankets. And you've seen, I'm a big advocate of wool. And I showed you before, I'm not going to put a thing up there, whatever. Wool blanket that's in my car. We have other wool things. I wear wool clothes, wool. If you guys, I don't know why wool has got, for a while there, maybe it was like in the 70s or 80s or a while back, wool got like a bad rep. So my gloves are wool, my cap's wool, and I'm wearing layers, and this is the way, yes? So if you can get a hold of things, maybe not now, it's a little too late for you, but in the future, something to think about is wool. Wool beanies, wool gloves, wool, they have like long underwear, wool jackets, wool. Cotton kills, yes? So think about that. Wool blankets, yes, like I showed you. So keep that in mind. I know I'm gonna repeat it like 3 more times. You ready? Wool. Another thing they talk about are creating micro-environments. So a micro-environment, a place in your house that it's small, you can control, and you can keep it warm. If you have a multi-layer house, it's usually somewhere high because heat rises. If you have a straight level house, ranch style or whatever the heck they call it, find something that's very small. So that way you can easily heat it, and it can be done with, they say things like candles. Well, candles produce light and they produce heat. You just have to be really careful with them. I'm going to grab something here in a second because this is not scripted. Rick, edit your videos better. No, you guys, come on. You should be used to it by now. So if you're going to use candles, then practice good safety. We've already gone over how you should have, for other reasons, basic reasons, you should have fire extinguishers. And you need to be careful with it. People don't use fire very often, and they can't figure out how to do it safely. And you should. I'm recommending. Yes? Yes. Okay, so what I was looking for off camera is this. Now, I did a video, and just in it, I mentioned that still smell good. I'd made candles out of scraps and stuff, but that's not the point. The point is candles, if you're gonna get them, use ones that are not, demonstrate, this is not easily knocked over. Does that make sense? So those old-fashioned candles, like back in the day in candelabras, they're like this tall, it's a bad idea. If you're gonna use candles, or any kind of fire, practice fire safety. Gosh darn, man, it's really cold here. I hope people have power because it's just cold. So practice safety. Use ones that are not easily disturbed. Don't leave them unattended. Make sure you have fire extinguishers. Keep them away from children, animals, dogs knocking them over. You guys with me on this one? But yeah, so there's the basics as they talk about having candles. Putting them in a small room, being able to create that microenvironment. Yes? Yes. So now I'm gonna, real quick, I'm gonna go to camping. I always do that, like next level. And here we go right here. Mr. Buddies or Buddy portable heaters. People, these are I get nothing, guys. There's no affiliate links, not sponsored, blah, blah, blah. But people know about these. These are out there in the news, I guess. I don't know. And these things are nice. You know what I'm saying? And usually these are used for camping. That's why I say, now we're going to camping. And this is on low right now. It goes on high. You guys know it uses these bottles. These are getting a little expensive. I showed you before, you can get an adapter hose and you can hook this up to larger ones if you needed to run it for a longer period of time. But talking on microenvironments and camping stuff. I was in a tent, the smaller ones, I don't know if you guys have seen it, they're just round like this and they hook on top of these. I can't show you because I don't have one. But I was in a tent and extremely low temperature, but I used that in that microenvironment and I could keep myself warm. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Now you need to be careful because it creates CO2 stuff, it takes out the oxygen, you can't breathe and blah, blah, blah. But when I did it, and I'm gonna demonstrate here real quick, is I turned it on, I got my tent warm, and then I actually turned it down to, you guys see this, I didn't practice this. Edit your videos better, Rick. Don't do it. So can you guys see that that's red right there? So what I did in the tent is I turned it down to pilot. Now that's how you initially start it. I don't know if you guys can see that little flame. There's just a little flame right there which ignites this and keeps this stuff warm. So I would just take it down to the pilot light. That's it. And this little bottle right here would last more than one whole night with just a little pilot light going. It's like almost like a little candle inside my tent, and it kept me warm. Yes, the benefit of this over a candle is it's much more safer, really. Safer, it has CO2 things that'll turn off. If you knock it over, it turns stuff off. These are very safe to use. Yes? Yes. So let's turn this back up because it's cold. Yeah, it's still cold in here. Go. You should do like a little sparky. There we go. So again, we start with the basics, then we move on to camping stuff and how it could help you. So if you had this, like I have here in my garage, I can warm myself. And this is not what they have on basic emergency preparedness. That's why we go basic and then we go camping stuff, hiking, whatever. And then now you could see if you had this, if you have and I do the big larger bottles, the adapter hose, which I do have, you could put this in a small room and you could run it for really long periods of time in case something really big happened. Your power went out. There was like an ice storm or a blizzard or tornado. Oh my. So something like this could keep a small room well heated for long periods of time if you had those things, if you had prepared for it. Yes? Yes. Okay, I just looked over my notes. Yes, I wrote notes down for this because again, I was going to do something else until I woke up and it was 10 degrees outside. So, yes, layers. So I kind of pointed it out, but it's another thing that keeps you safe, I guess, or warmer in cold environments. Layers, layers, layers. Again, we'll go back to wool. And then I went over safety. And what else was I going to talk about when it came to keep you? Yeah, there's other items. I went over the candles and then sternos. You guys seen those little things, you light them up and they're underneath like the warmers when you go through a line of food, and they're fairly safe. They don't fall over. I have a can here. I can grab one for you guys real quick. But I guess we would call that maybe not basic preparedness, not camping. I guess we'll put that under camping. But there's ways of keeping yourself warm. They're not that expensive. This is a little pricey, by the way. I saved to get this. They're not that expensive, and they can help you on an emergency. It's just something to think about. And once again, disclaimer, I'm not an expert in anything, but the one thing I always tell you is I'm not telling you what to do. I'm showing you stuff. You get ideas because I don't know who, what, where, how, when. I don't know. You. Yes? Just giving you ideas, guys. Okay, and with that, we're going to transition. Now, I've had comments, and they made me very happy, where people are like, well, you seem really positive, and you're not doom and gloom, and I don't know if you guys know, we've done things on staying positive. I don't know if I'm going to put something there, and I do try, because being negative is a bad thing. However, I have made videos where I've like started positive, and I warned you guys, cautioned you, and I said, well, it might go a little dark. Yes, and so that's what I'm doing now. If you're like, yeah, that was a good video, Rick, and you stayed positive, and you know, and you don't want to, then you can like click off, or you could pause it and go somewhere. I don't know. But now we're gonna move, and it's gonna get just a little bit darker. Yes, hopefully I can still keep it positive, but yeah, a non-positive subject. Okay. Yay. I'll try to make this quick, which I usually fail at, but say about a week ago, 5 days a week ago, I was going through the feeds and I was watching a video. A guy I check out once in a while, and he was talking about a get home bag. Now, we've done get home bags, multiple ones, here on this channel, and I've showed you things, giving you ideas. Once again, not telling you, you have to have this and you have to have that. I think that's silly. But he was going over his get home bag, and he was talking about, and this was the big thing, is people who have fire or ways of making fire in the get home bag are basically, it was negative. I'm not going to use words or exaggerate, but basically it was a bad idea. And he was like, no. You guys picking up what I'm laying down, telling people what to do, and saying having fire in the get home bag or ways of making fire was basically dumb and stupid and waste of time. You with me so far where I'm at? Yes. So initially I was like, no, but I'm going to let it simmer. Because if you just react to things, that's a bad idea. And then like 2 days later, there was another person who I check out on the feeds, and I agree with him most of the time, but not all of the time. But I still listen to his stuff because you never can tell where you're going to get really good information. And he was replying to that person, and he was like, yeah, that's, basically it's situational. You with me? And I was like, okay, cool beans, because that's kind of what I was going to do. And we're going to go over that here in a second. I have notes right there. And I already mentioned that's why we transition is who, what, where, when, why, and how. That should be taken into account on anything versus people saying, no, yes, if you don't, and this and that. Yeah, no, it's situational. Who, what, where, when, why. We'll go over this in a second. The point being is another content creator was very polite about it and said, yeah, you might want to think about it situationally. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to let it go. Somebody covered this, and yeah, and I was happy. Yeah, that didn't last. Then a couple days later, and I happened to see this stuff, and a third content creator had come on and said, content creator number one. And I had seen them, so I knew who he was talking about, but he referred to him as content creator number one and number two. And he was like, number one's right and number two's wrong. And this is why. And I was like, They weren't taking into account those things. The who, my finger off there. Who, what, where, when, how, and why. Yes? And my recommendation, because I don't tell people what to do, and I think content creators that do, or anyone that does, I think is making a mistake. Because it doesn't matter how much experience you have, it doesn't matter what you've gone through, it doesn't matter how much reading you've done, or blah, 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 yakety schmackety. The best instructors, people that will tell you that they don't have all the answers, and things are dependent on what's going to happen. Because you can have a plan, and a plan lasts about 2 minutes. Yes? Yes. So I'm going to move away from that a little bit, and let's discuss a get-home bag. These guys were going like zombie apocalypse on their get-home bags. And they're like, yeah, you don't want to have a fire because it's going to show people where you are, and they're going to come and take your stuff, and you're going to have to defend. And I was like, holy Moses, people. Okay, that's cool, and I'm not going to disagree with that. But there's a lot of steps between point A and point Z for a zombie apocalypse. You like that? That was kind of funny. I just made that up. So a get-home bag is not for the zombie apocalypse initially. You see what I'm saying? Or at least in my mind. This is just my opinion, guys. And I don't know about you. If you're going to make a get-home bag and you're going to do it for the zombie apocalypse, okay, that's cool. But with just a couple minutes and a couple little things in there, you could also get it ready for all the way back here to A. Yes? Yes. So that's my recommendation. When it comes to anything that we've talked about or we'll talk about in the future, this is just the one. I looked at my notes again. They're there. They distract me. About a get-home bag. But anything you do, but we're just talking about that because that's what this was about. Take into account who, what, where, when, how, and why. Okay? So let's go over it. Okay, who is the bag for? It's for you. I don't know who you are. How am I going to stand here and say, you should do this and not do that? And blah. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your capabilities are. I don't know what you built the bag for. You see what I'm saying? Whether it's here, zombie apocalypse. I don't know. How can I give you advice on that? And not advice, which is what I'm doing now, but I mean direction. Dictate what you... that's just silly. If you see people like that, just back away from them. You with me so far? I hope so. Yay. All right, next one is what? What are you making that bag for? If it's just to get home, in what kind of contingency? You see what I'm saying? Now, there's people who they break down on the road. If you're up in the mountains, if you're up in the mountains and you get stuck or something happens to your car, you don't have, and you need to like not necessarily get home, get somewhere where you can find help or whatever. You might want to make a fire at some point. You say, I don't know what are you designing your bag for? You see what I'm saying? And the individuals weren't saying what they were designing their bag for. They just went right into it. If they had said, my get home bag is for the zombie apocalypse, so no fire because then they'll come and okay, that's cool. But even if it's in that case, I can still see in my mind, I can still see scenarios where might want to have a fire. Yes? So absolutes are, yeah. The next one is where. I don't know where you are and I don't know where you're going. You do. So it should be taken into account. I pointed out that the lovely lady in my life, her get home bag was designed for like less than 10 miles because that's where she worked. And that's it. That's what it was designed for, to get her here. So you need to take that into account. Now, she probably doesn't need to make a fire in that bag. However, the stuff's there because it doesn't weigh anything. It's like light. It's like ounces, and to have it and not need it is better than needing it and not having it. Next one is who, what, where, when. When is this going to happen? If it happens today, almost anywhere in the United States, you're going to probably want to make a fire. It's friggin' cold. It's 12 degrees. You see what I'm saying? These things, please, guys, take it into account when you're doing things. Who, what, where, when, what? Oh, how? Let's get to that in a second. My minute's up. You guys get the joke if you've been here before. Okay, we'll go with how. How are you planning on getting from point A to point B? Not so much with the fire part, but just taking into account. Remember, we have shoes and stuff. If you're going to walk, how are you going to get there? And a lot of the stuff is based off not the zombie apocalypse, where you want people to see you. You want to go find people that can help you. You're with me on this one? So hold on a second, guys. This is just bugging me. Edit your videos better, Rick. Nah. Nope. Here we are. And then lastly is why. Why are you designing the bag? Again, if it's for the zombie apocalypse and you don't want people seeing you, renegades or the golden horde or whatever coming to get you, okay, that's fine. But again, having it in case of something else, it's really not that bad of an idea. My opinion, guys. It's just my opinion. So let's tie a bow on this. When you guys are doing anything, from a get-home bag to, I'm pointing down here, I have a bag for when the power goes out, or you see what I'm saying? Whatever you're designing for, please do me a favor. Take into account for you who, what, where, when, why, and how. Yes? And don't try, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but try to stay away from people that do absolutes. You will do this, or you won't do that. I'm just throwing it out there. Yes? Yes. Okay, I think that's enough. I was going to go actually darker, because remember I said it, and it has to do with content creators that are taking advantage of people, and yeah, we won't go there today. Yes, we'll try to end this on a happy note because I'm friggin' freezing. So I hope this finds you well. I hope you are happy. I hope you are positive. And right now, I hope for cold weather, I hope you are prepared.